Hey everyone, welcome back to RJK English. Let's talk about getting through the coronavirus situation. So, a lot of the uh, students that I speak with, especially right now from Brazil, they are struggling with fear of the coronavirus. And in the US, we are struggling with this as well. We have had 560,000 people that have died. And it's probably more than that. It's probably more like 650,000 people that have died. So let's talk about how do we talk about coronavirus? One, we can use the word dose. When we're talking about, sorry that I'm hitting the table. When we're talking about how many vials, so we can talk about vials, vial, or dose. Vial or dose. These are the little capsules that the vaccine comes in, the vial or the dose. A lot of times you need two doses of the vaccine in order to be vaccinated. Okay, so that's how we can talk about this. But a lot of what we're struggling with regarding the coronavirus is sometimes we are very scared of what can happen. We are scared of people dying. We're scared of, we look outside and we see people that are not taking proper precautions. I know that I deal with that here in the US, and we deal with it I know that people that I know in Brazil, they deal with the same thing. But there's some things we can do during this time. One, first thing is look at your family. Is your family safe? So one of my students just said, my child was at university, now they're home and they're studying from home. That means she doesn't have to worry about her son. So that's first. Is our family okay? And maybe they're not. If they're not, that's okay. But that's the first thing. Then we have to stop thinking that we can do everything for everyone, right? We can't take all of that on ourselves because we're dealing with a lot of stress during this time. Stress. We feel stress. We feel stressed. If I'm feeling stress right now, I feel stressed. But in general, we feel stress during these times. We can also feel other feelings. We can feel angry. And people will ask, who are you angry at? And you might say, I am angry at the people outside that are going around without masks. I'm angry at them. Our anger can also be about our government. Why isn't my government doing enough? I can't tell you how much I go through anger towards my own government about this, right? So we can be angry. But I think also in the middle of this, we have grief. We have grief. Grief is that deep sadness. It comes from when we feel loss. I know one of my good friends, he is not around a girl that he loved, and he feels grief, and he goes through different phases. I know someone that has lost a family member, and they go through deep grief. Sometimes our grief can be so deep, and we go through stages of grief. Medical professionals can usually guess what stages someone is going to go through. My mother went through it when my stepfather died. I also went through it, but to a lesser extent because I did not grow up around him very closely. But I did go through grief. I mean, I felt horrible that he had died and it was a big loss, but my mother went through this. And we have these stages. Sometimes we're angry. Sometimes we're angry and we're so mad. And then the next moment we don't feel anything. We feel nothing. Then the next moment we feel depressed. Then the next moment we're crying. We can feel all of these feelings. Today, I felt angry from grief. I grieve about what's happening in my country. I also am sad because I have people that I love in Maharashtra, in India. And I'm very frustrated right now because Maharashtra is being hit very hard by coronavirus, and I'm scared. So I feel angry or I feel depressed sometimes. How can we get through this time? One, I've learned something from my Kashmiri friends. My Kashmiri friends deal with a lot of difficulties living in Kashmir. I'm not here to talk politics. I'm just talking about what they go through. A lot of times they can't get to work because there's a shutdown, or they can't get past an army post, or something like this, or there's a worry that there's going to be an attack or something, or they can't use the internet. It's very difficult to be Kashmiri. Well, I look at them and I watch how they react to this. And what do? They think about the future. They think about, how can I help my family? How can I'm going to go to school. Even though they have trouble going to school, they still think about how to go to school. They have a lot of courage because they have experience living through these things. I know Kashmiris who have been pulled from their home. And I don't want to talk about what has happened. And I look at the courage they have. And I think during this time we can learn that courage. Here's some things that they do. They try to learn something new. What can I learn during this pandemic that when I come out of the pandemic, I have new skills or I have new knowledge? What can I do? For me, I'm learning Hindi. I am teaching. I am reading books, trying to learn. I'm also learning to enjoy the guitar. I play guitar, or I read poetry. These things help me. I have a post on poetry that you can look at. Rilke is my favorite poet. So during these times, we can either reach deep inside of ourselves, or we can gain new knowledge. We can sometimes just live and be thankful that our family is okay. Be thankful for what we have. We can deal with grief. We can be patient with ourselves when we are down. Sometimes I'll just be upset for no reason. We can get through this. Okay? Think about what you can do with the time you have. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, but set some goals. I was just speaking with one of my students who said during this time, she's learning English. She's started a new job and she's learning that job. She's learning Spanish. And she has her son, and her son is safe. So she is trying to build her life during this time. Think about people that are in prison. There are many people in prison in the United States. We have the largest prison population in the world. But in prison, you can either sit there and suffer, or you can build your knowledge. Malcolm X is one of my favorite people. And even think about Nelson Mandela, Gandhi as well, Martin Luther King. All of these people have dealt with being in prison, especially Malcolm X did. And what did they do? They improved themselves, or they reached deep inside of themselves. These are things that we can do. Or sometimes we can just hug our family and we can eat something and watch some movies. But think about what you can do positively, because you will have anger, you will have grief, you will feel stressed, and you will think about these things about getting the vaccine and things like this. And you will be frustrated with the news. But think about what you can do to get through it. Comment and hit the like button and subscribe. And talk to me on Facebook. Let's talk about, what do you do to get through this time? Maybe you are like some of my students in East Asia who are not having that difficult of a time. And we can learn something from them. We can also learn from watching countries that are doing well. We can learn, we can gain knowledge and go, our country should be doing that. We should learn something from that. we can gain from that. It can make us more powerful and think about how to connect with other people more. Okay? But everyone, stay safe. I care about you. I might not know you, but I wish you the best. And let's talk. All right? See you next time.